All right, I'm ready when y'all are. You ready, T-Rod? Oh, he done muted himself. He's ready then. All right, we can get started, Miss Amy.
Okay.
All right, this is Ben Hood here with Inside the Kennel, and this week we're interviewing Miss Amy Curd, and she's uh she's been in the game for a long time. She's knows what she's talking about when it comes to Frenchies, English Bulldogs, and a new breed we're gonna discuss at the end. So I'm gonna turn it over to you to Miss Amy. You can go ahead and give us a short introduction.
Um, I, s- I'm Amy Kurt. I own White Star Bulldogs. I started 29 and a half years ago, almost 30 years ago, in the English Bulldogs. Um, Produced one of the first lilacs in the country, um, the first chocolate seals in the country, first double seals. Um, Went on after doing English for about 14 years, switched over to the Frenchies. Guess it's been about 14, almost 15 years ago, started doing the Frenchies. And then 4 years ago, got my first Chongqing. So, yeah.
It's a pretty diversified background there.
They're all bulldog breeds.
Yeah. Well, the Bulldogs, we can start with the English book. Now, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm fixing to get off script just a little bit because you brung something up, and we've had this conversation before, and it shocked me because I didn't know what it was, and since then I brung it up to several people. Just real quick, could you explain exactly what you mean by a seal?
A seal is the K gene, which most people consider brindle, but there's actually two different Ks. They're not broken up on most panels. You have to call and request it to be broken up. And it does occur in Frenchies as well. It is just the black coat base. So it can be modified, to the blue, the lilac, the chocolate. But instead of having the brindle in it, it has just black or just blue or just, there is no brindle marking. It's just a K that is strictly, it's not KBR, it is KB.
So,
But like for animal genetics, you have to call them and ask them, and they will break it up for you to show you that it's just a K. The dog will never produce a brindle puppy, even though it has the KB.
I had a female, and I had no idea that's what was going on. She was just solid black, and she was an ATA dog, no tan points, but she had
Mhm.
the KB gene, and there was no brindle. She wasn't a trindle. She was solid black, and I
Yeah, and you
never
can
knew what it
breed
was going
those
on until you brung it
dogs.
up.
Yeah, you can, and a lot of people in the Frenchies aren't aware of them. The bullies know about them. The bully breeds know, uh, and the English Bulldog breeders are very familiar with it. They weren't at first. Um, we argued a lot about it at first.
Yeah, I remember.
Um, and then the Frenchie breeders, I don't know the dog's name, but there's one in Florida that they actually had it tested at a couple of different labs, finally had it broken down, proved that that's what he was. And so now more people are starting to be aware of it in the Frenchies.
So that female of mine, she produced a blue husky, and he's
Mm-hmm.
AT-AT, and
No
there's
10
not one
points.
10 point. He is
No.
solid blue everywhere that he's not white because of the husky.
Some of the new DNA that's coming out in the next few probably year, um, people are going to be surprised because you're going to need that K without the brindle. So
Well, I don't want to focus too much on that because
no, it's okay.
that's collegiate level DNA there. So
No,
that's for
that's yeah.
that's for
Hey,
another
I don't
show.
even understand all that, but that's what I'm being told.
But I have some I do have some questions about English Bulldogs because selfishly, like I want to get into them. I've always liked the English Bulldog, especially more than Frenchies, because I didn't even know there was such a thing. But if you're what would you say there are the essential traits or qualities of an English Bulldog? Like if you're going to get one to breed, like this is what you got to have because it's not exactly like the Frenchies. I mean, they're built a little different.
They are. Um, you want to be able to make sure that they can breathe. So they need to have good open airs. You want to make sure that they have the bone in their legs that they're supposed to have. Um, because it's essential to just their structure. Uh, you want to make sure that they are not easty westy in the front, where their feet turn out. Let's see, you want a decent rope. A lot of people, part of the reason I moved away from the English was because I felt like they were getting so overdone that it wasn't, don't get me wrong, I love an overdone dog, the big, huge ropes and all of that. Um,
That's the dogs with like massive wrinkles everywhere, right? Yeah, all the
yes,
loose
yeah,
extra skin.
yes.
Does it have
And
anything to do with their stance? I don't mean to interrupt you, but like before we
no,
get
it's
far,
okay. To
their
me,
stance different,
yeah, most of them will have the broken down hocks. Their feet will be webbed because they're so heavy. But my problem was they weren't, a lot of the dogs were not having, English Bulldogs already have a shorter lifespan than a Frenchie. Um,
which would be
and
what?
uh, 7 to 10 years is the normal lifespan. I watched it get shorter, and that's changed now a lot because people have kind of back to we went way overdone, and the dogs had become less healthy. Um, we didn't have genetic testing when I started, not for health, you and very minimal for color. So when we started making the dogs overdone, their lifespan went down to almost 5 years.
Well,
Um,
now that you
and
say that, can I interject here? Because I have a question. Because this is something.
Mhm.
No, we didn't discuss this, pre-interview or nothing. But this matter of fact, this past week, I saw there's some big trainer, and I'm I'm unprepared because I didn't even think about bringing this up. That attacked one of the breeders that I don't know him personally, but he's pretty well known about his English, his full fluffy English, and the man has I think 500,000 followers or something like that, and he went after this breeder for
Yes,
this
I
dog.
know.
Okay, so that dog there is that man justified in talking about the life quality and the lifespan of that dog has been shortened and made worse, or is it it's just more for attention and rage baiting?
Okay. I think a lot of it was rage bait. Um, there are things, look, there's I went to school to judge the English Bulldog. I went for AKC because that's what I started when I got into. There's a lot of things I can pick apart on that dog. Um, there's a lot of things that I can say are incorrect breed standard. Obviously, it's a fluffy.
Right.
Okay. Um, I don't know everything that I've seen of the dog. When I've seen him at dog shows in the act, um, he doesn't breathe bad.
No, no,
Doesn't have,
I wasn't asking about him specifically.
well, I
But
think,
that
I
style
think
of dog, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We were actually breeding for the dogs that we were breeding for were the bigger dogs. They were heavier. They had these ropes that hung over completely over their nose. They were overheating constantly. There's a lot of bulldogs in Texas. They were overheating. They did not have the lifespan. Um, the smaller dogs seem to live longer. His dog is smaller. Um, I think there's certain things that, as breeders, we have to say, okay, is our dog active? Can our dog move? Can our dog, you know, no matter what, you're going to have people that hate a fluffy English
That
bulldog.
that's that. I guess that's what I was driving at is I a lot of it is preference as far as how exotic you get, right? And that is an exotic English
Hmm.
bulldog. If I was saying like I've talked to you about the fluffies in the English, and I've seen some that I like and some that I don't. So I'm kind of on the fence there with the English. But the only thing I would say about that dog is I don't like a dog that's that low to the ground of any breed. Like I won't buy a corgi. You know what I'm saying? Like that he's real short, but that
I
doesn't
don't
mean
like,
it's bad.
no,
That's a preference.
exactly. That's a preference. I like the fluffies that are the bigger, more traditional English bulldog, but that is where I came from. Okay. I'm like you. I don't want an English bulldog that is as small as my Frenchie. And that's just a personal choice. Um, that I did move to a smaller breed because my English were too heavy. I had 60, 70 pound English bulldogs. And, the breed standard was 65 pounds. And so we were right in there. We started topping that a little bit. And it just became too big for me. And so that was why I moved over to I moved to the Frenchies because they were easier for me to bathe, pick up, take to the vet, easier for me to whelp the litters and all of that. I mean, it's not that I don't love the breed. I absolutely love the breed. But in anything, when you add long hair to a dog that traditionally does not have long hair, you're going to be attacked for it. And I think a lot of what has happened is people are attacking the dogs because they're fluffy.
Well, so I come from a racing or automotive background. That's kind of before I was doing dogs. That's really all I did. My family did. And there really seems to be a parallel, in my opinion, between like you would have traditionally, so if you took a 69 Camaro and
Hmm.
cut it up and made a drag car out of it, when you went to the track, there were people that was just like, what a waste. Why would you do that? And so it's a matter of, it's just a matter of taste. Like he's not at an AKC show. He's at a fun show where he can show that
Yes,
exotic dog. So I don't understand what the big deal is. If you can't prove that there's health problems there, I
me either.
I think it's just people trying to get clicks. But I mean, it's neither here nor
That's
there. But
that's okay. That's my personal opinion as well. I mean, I think that I'm sorry. You can pick any dog apart for anything. You can pick anybody apart for anything. It's all on what you want. And the problem with social media is you do see, hey, you get attention if you attack somebody.
right, I mean, if you were gonna get serious about it, then why wouldn't you go just ride through a neighborhood and when you see somebody that's got a half Dachshund and half Great Dane, that because they had
Like,
their neighbor's dog jumped the fence, like why aren't you putting them on social media and blasting them?
exactly.
It's the same thing. So it like I said, I think it's just for clicks, but that's neither here nor there. Not to digress, but well, as far as speaking on the English Bulldogs, it kind of bleeds into this. Like the ones that are not exotic, just the standard English Bulldogs. What are some common health issues? You mentioned breathing. Is there spinal issues, tail issues, things? If somebody's looking, they need. I know the screwed in tail is a real bad thing in the English Bulldog.
Yes. Yeah. Pocket tails are a problem. Uh, I will be honest, I bred away from that with my dogs heavily because I had a dog that I bought originally and the tail had to be amputated because it had a tail pocket. And so where you could stick your finger in the pocket of the tail. And so that is something that has to be bred away from. Uh, they don't have the spinal issues. IVDD does not run in English Bulldogs like it does in the smaller breeds, but they are more prone to HUU, which now you can test for. So a lot of people have gotten away. There's the health of the dog is so much better because of the genetic testing. And because I can't tell you how many dogs I knew that had HUU because it ran so heavy in the lines and it caused a crystallization and caused like kidney stones. The only way to fix it would be to keep your dog on a specialized diet and basically turn a male dog into a female dog through surgery. So getting that genetic test in the English Bulldogs was huge. They are a brachiocephalic breed, so they are prone to hypoplastic trachea and elongated soft palates. And so, listening to the way your dog breathes, when you're purchasing one, listening to the way the parents breathe is very important. And making sure the dog can move around and breathe is extremely important. Um,
I'm gonna just be
because
honest with you. My English, I had no idea what I was doing when I got her.
mhm,
And that dog is far more athletic than I expected. And now that she is grown, far more destructive than I was ready
yes,
for.
they're very, very, very destructive. And
Yeah,
people don't realize that.
I
There,
didn't.
it
I
is
mean,
nothing for them to eat a hole in the wall because they feel like it.
because they're mad because you left them because you
Yes.
took another dog riding instead of them.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've experienced her anger issues
Yeah.
and her anxiety from being left behind.
Yes. And they're very prone to that.
Yeah, she's if when you're giving her attention, she is just a big old klutz, lovable, wants to play, but when she's not getting her way, she's very destructive.
Yes. I came home one time and the entire side of my couch was gone because one of the dogs had eaten the whole leather couch because they were mad because I took another dog to the dog show. So yeah, you
Uh,
know,
I got I have a stainless steel kennel because I don't trust her in anything less than that if I have to leave her at home anymore.
yeah,
So, but
exactly.
so the well from the to move on from the health, is there if so like if somebody was buying an English Bulldog to for that or even for the show, is what are the unique challenges you should expect? Like this is just common to the breed. It's not something to worry about, and I'm not talking about breathing. Maybe it's behavior you want to talk about, but it's just this is what this breed is, and you need to prepare yourself for it.
You need to prepare yourself for a dog that drools.
Maybe, and yeah, so maybe the environment you're
Yes.
gonna give this dog to
Yes.
thrive.
You need to understand you are going to be cleaning a nose rope weekly. You need to understand that this dog is probably most likely going to uh, develop cherry eyes at some point. It is common to the breed. I don't care how many people say, well, I would never breed a dog with cherry eyes. It doesn't matter. A dog can sneeze and get a cherry eye in an English bulldog. It is the way their head and their face are formed. Um, it just
I
happens.
had a
A
vet
lot of
tell
them,
me, I had a vet tell me that it has to do with how tight the eye the skin
yes,
is underneath the eye and it's
yes,
loose and and and,
uh-huh,
and like if there was one it wasn't this we were talking about Frenchies, but he was talking about if you notice that a dog reproduces that in its offspring, that loose skin,
hmm,
that's something to quit that you need to breed out because that leads to cherry eye. Does that make sense? Am I saying
yeah,
that right?
yes. They used to call it the second eyelid of the dog. So if its eyelid hung down, um, then they started. saying that, oh, well, it was allergies or it was because even if you didn't have a dog that had the loose skin, you would still see it within their puppies. Um, we found a vet that he used a local anesthesia. He did not have to put the dogs under to do the removal. Um, and I just started telling my clients here, if this happens to you, this is where, these are the vets that you could go to in the area because I don't care what they said or what we tried as far as breeding away from it, it didn't work. It's part of the breed. It's part of those things that is innate in the breed. Um, I tell everybody if you get a dog and your dog's ears hang forward and they're not rosed, which means the dog's ear is raised up, then glue your puppy's ears. Because if you have a dog that has flat ears to the side of its head, that dog is going to be prone to ear infections. The correct ear set of an English Bulldog is a rosebud ear. And that is to help keep their ear dry. And so um the old school breeders would glue their ears, just like you tape a Frenchie's ear, to make sure that you had a rosebud. And it just means there's a little space in between it. So it's not laying flat against the head. Um, and because if you have one, then you have to clean their ears more often. So if your dog's, it's something to look for in a puppy. It's just one of those things. If you like the puppy with flat ears, great, wonderful. Just know that you need to make sure you're cleaning their ears every week and try
Well,
to get one without a tail pocket.
I dodged a lot of bullets. Just sometimes ignorance is bliss, I guess.
Exactly.
I did. I had no idea, but that's how my girls' ears are. They're rosebuds.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't even know the term until then.
Yeah, it is the standard of the breed.
Well, okay, so that'll bring us to my next question. It, so if you're going to get started with an English Bulldog, and if you're going to have one or breed one, it doesn't matter. If you're getting an English Bulldog, give me your top five must have for new breeders or new English Bulldog owners.
An indestructible kennel.
Yeah, I learned that too. Yeah.
Um, Crate, kennel, whatever you want to call it. Um, a very good vet. If you're going to breed, make sure you get a very good mentor, someone you can pick up the phone and call. I was very fortunate because I had a great group of women around me and I was dumb and naive. And my first litter, I knew absolutely nothing, but I was going to figure it out. And there was no internet. So
That
we
were
didn't we didn't have social media to
uh,
turn to.
I'm old
And
enough.
so,
I'm old enough to remember those days as well.
yeah, so, the time of, I think it was even before MySpace. But I picked up the phone, called a couple of breeders because I had my first litter of puppies and it was nine and I lost two of the puppies. And called the vet. They didn't know what to tell me. Called a lady and she was just like, just remember this. She drove to my house, stayed the night with me, and then left the next morning and said, you do that for somebody when it's your turn. And she taught me what to do with my puppies.
Well, have you paid that debt yet? Because
Yes,
if
I have.
okay, I was gonna say this year I'm gonna have my first litter of English, so you may
I
be
will
getting that
still do it
call.
for you.
Oh, I
I
appreciate
will.
that. I'm
But you
probably
know
gonna
what?
need it.
You've raised enough Frenchies that they're very, very similar.
Except they're bigger, faster,
Yeah, they are.
take up
And
more room.
and they don't realize at all if they're laying on a puppy. At least a Frenchie mom knows to kind of move over. Or, oh, something squeaked in English. No, they snore right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
So
I kind of get off easy on my whelping on the Frenchies because I use that heated, where it draws them up
yes.
underneath the. I'm I've already kind of decided that's not going to work for the English, and I'm going to pay for that.
It does work to a degree.
Yeah, but not like Frenchies after you make it past the first week. They're on autopilot with that dude. I don't. This
Hmm.
girl is a matter of fact, I've already skipped one. I'm probably going to skip another because well, that'd be a good question. Like their maturity, it is not. She is not matured like a Frenchie. Usually a Frenchie is about 18 months and we'll breed them.
Two
I don't
years.
know if she's gonna be like she's still such a puppy and she's so
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It does make them grow up faster, I will say that. But I normally did not bring mine until they were two.
Well, that'll be the end of the year. It may be her third heat then because
Yep.
like me matter of fact me and my wife were just talking about that the other day. It's like she's due to come back in a couple months and I was like, man, if she's not different than now, like I can't imagine she
Yeah.
would.
It
I'm gonna
does
raise her
with,
babies.
I will say, with the English, the ones that were hyper and destructive, and it was so weird because I thought they were going to be the absolute worst moms. Those were actually my best moms.
Well, Dottie has hope then.
Yeah.
So is there is it going along the same lines of is there a pedigree or some bloodlines that you would say that you work with that are really great or some right now even something that's going around now because I personally don't. I know a lot of Frenchy bloodlines, but I'm kind of dumb when it comes to the English. I'm a newbie.
I like the older bloodlines. Um, so I always try to trace things back. Um, because I liked some of the older style dogs. You'll see Bigfoot. Well, then you'll hear about Jennings. Jennings was off of Compton and he was off of Bigfoot. Jennings became a big name in Texas. Jennings was off Compton and Bigfoot, and they combined and they produced him. That is a very popular line. And so you'll hear people say, you know, that their dogs go back to that.
Well, I hadn't
So, and
even.
that's probably one of my favorite lines.
I'll be honest with you.
I like that. I like the Cherokee legend. I will always go back to that. I'll always go back to Eichenheim and
I'm
those dogs.
I'm gonna have to send you mine over because the guy that when I got Dottie,
Hmm.
he was bragging about the lines and there was a lot of king and queen stuff he was talking about and I finally told him, listen, I'm just buying the dog in front of me because that stuff you're saying means nothing to me. Like I'm just judging her. I don't.
Well,
That's the best I
and
could
my
do.
whole thing is like I haven't been submersed in them in so long, but I still know people that have them. That there probably is a lot of new stuff out there that's absolutely wonderful and great.
I think
And but you know, I've
I
gotten so into the Frenchies that you kind of forget what, or you're not watching it as closely as you used to.
well. So that brings me to the last part of this English Bulldog. I would just because we don't want to just all be negative or bad or whatever on the breeding side of this. I would like for you to maybe share your best experience with the English Bulldog. Maybe it's a show, maybe it's your first one, maybe it was your first. I don't know. And then on the opposite side of that, your absolute worst experience with the English Bulldog, if you want to share that. Something maybe that is a cautionary tale for people moving forward.
Probably my best experience was I got a dog. I went to, well, me and my husband went to this absolutely horrific, horrible, deplorable place in East Texas out of an ad in the Dallas Morning News to go look at a dog. And when we walked in there, we were going to look at a puppy. And I ended up, my husband looked at me and he said, buy the mom too. I brought home a dog that did not have an eye. Um, it had been missing for a long time, had never been closed properly.
Mm,
That dog had lived a horrible, horrible life and existence. And we brought her home, and you would have, within 2 days, you would have never known how that dog was treated. Um, she became the most wonderful pet companion. Her name was Winky because we ended up having her eyes sealed shut. Um, so she had to wink. And it never, the one thing I can say is that dog never held it against anybody what had been done to her. And she, she loved unconditionally. And her puppy that we also purchased that day loved unconditionally. And so that is the one thing I will say about an English Bulldog. It doesn't matter what you do to them. It is not like a Frenchie. It is not like a Chongqing. And it's not like most other dogs. They love you no matter what. And they just have this stupid way of forgiving humans when we're stupid. And that is probably, I mean, it didn't matter. I never saw one hold a grudge. Worst situation I ever had, probably most amazing uh, male stud that I owned. Well, one of them at one point, or he was an up and coming stud, and he figured out how to open that back latch. And in 105 degrees in Texas, when you have chickens and goats and cows in your
uh,
pasture, you learn real quick that the heat is not their friend. And so I tell everybody that has an English Bulldog, they you better make sure you have double latches on everything because if they can find a way to get out, they're going to get out. If they can find a way to dig themselves into a situation or close themselves in a situation, that dog will find a way to do and get themselves in trouble. And after that, I learned very quickly. We lost him before he even made it to the vet. Uh, I have learned that Dex is my friend. I don't go anywhere without a bottle of it. And
you want to
my
explain that? You want to explain that fully for somebody that don't
um,
know?
it is a it's an injectable that you get from your vet. Your vet will tell you how to administer it. My vet recommended because I do go to dog shows that I carry it with me. Um, and what it does is it is a steroid that opens up their airway and kind of like lemon juice but faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it can save your dog's life in the heat.
Now, the
And
lemon
so,
juice, if I'm not mistaken, that just cuts the mucus, right? Like
yes.
it thins it
And
out so
Dex
that they could.
actually it opens the airways. So I learned very quickly that, I go to a lot of dog shows. It is something that I always have in my bag with me. Um, for that very reason. And I
Something I
don't
want to
even
ask
have
about.
English anymore.
You don't
So
have you don't have one. That
I don't have
seems.
any I don't have any at my house. No, I
I was gonna
don't.
say it seems
I do have
shameful.
a couple co-owns
Okay. Well, so you
out
have
there.
them. They're not
Yes, I
destroying
don't
your
have.
house. You got them
Yes.
destroying your
Yeah,
partner's house.
yeah, exactly.
Well, so well, I was gonna ask you a question and I got to listening to you there and I completely forgot. But that's about all I got on the English if you want unless you got something else you want to make a point on. Otherwise, we can talk about these Chinese ninja dogs.
Yeah, the Chinese ninja dogs that I made you take.
Oh, you didn't twist my arm too hard. I'm gonna be honest with you, Aaron. She loves that dog, and it's like I told you earlier. I text you. She bit me last night, and all it was is I have a Frenchie that freaks out anytime you go to worm him. Like there's no rhyme or reason for it, but he thinks his world is in, and he does not like safeguard. And he screeched, and well, I ain't gonna lie. Well, hell, I screeched because I felt something hit my calf, and I looked down, and it was a little trickle of blood, and she walked off. I guess she just wasn't gonna tolerate me hurting her buddy.
No,
She
no,
she won't have nothing to do with it.
no. They they are protective of the things that they claim. And they uh okay, so the dog that we're talking about is it's called a Chinese Chongqing or
Yes.
Chinese Chongqing. There are approximately 50 now in the United States. We thought the number was close to 100. Found out recently it's not quite that high. We're trying to get to 100. Um, they almost became they during the SARS outbreak, uh, their numbers in China dwindled. China held on to these dogs. They were the emperor's dogs. They date back to 502 BC, is the first pottery they have of the dog. So they were considered a dog of royalty or wealth, and the Chinese government guarded them. Um, no one was allowed to breed them without a certain license. The numbers of them were strictly controlled. Uh, During COVID or right before COVID started, it had started. There was a lady that went over to China as a missionary, and she was gifted three Chongqings when she left the country. My partner, uh, Kim Evans, was introduced to her and shown pictures of the dog. And she, well, it's Bledsoe now, Kim Bledsoe. She ended up basically getting a dog from China. Well, through Taiwan, I believe, is where the dog was taken and then brought over. Then she got a second one from Great Britain because some had been brought out. There was less than 2,000 of them left in China at the time. They had pretty much stopped breeding during COVID, so their numbers were dwindling, and people were worried about the dog going extinct. So they began moving them over, and they started the Chungking Project. And so there was only probably five in the US at the time. I was introduced to when I drove over to this dog that didn't blink, that didn't have really hair, had a black mouth, um,
Oh, they are
looked
stoic. At
scary.
for sure. She is stoic. She will just sit there next to me in a chair and just I think she's watching TV, but she's not moving.
Yeah, they do watch TV because my husband's dog will lay on his bed and paw at the remote and cry until he turns on her shows. She knows when it's weird. Um, and
Is it
they
anime?
do watch,
Is her show
huh?
anime?
Yes.
It's anime.
Uh-huh.
it's
But she likes the colors.
I'm gonna just tell you now. This poor
I
girl,
know they say they can't
but
see colors, but I don't care.
Aaron
Yes, they can.
Aaron changed her name to Bayla, and she
Uh-huh.
does she may be from Asian or Chinese origins, but boy, she's redneck now. She
Oh,
don't have a she don't have a choice.
ours are very redneck. Chickens are their friends, which really shouldn't be. They are a guardian breed, but they were used for small game hunting in China. They were the samurai's dog, so they actually went to war with the samurais because they would protect their samurai. Um, they are still used to this day for pig hunting, fox hunting, and like I said, small game hunting. In Texas, our pig are a little bit bigger, so I think that they would have more of a problem, but I have heard of a couple of people that have used them. Um, and they, but mainly now they are bred as a smaller version of a King Corso, maybe. Their temperament is they are very stoic. They are they never go off alert. If you read the things on Google, it really bothers me, to be honest, because they talk about the dog's anxiety. What you learn when you have this dog is it's not anxiety. They are on alert. They are,
I'll second that. Like I don't think she's nervous anymore. At 2 or 3 days here, and and she has a bedtime at about 10:30. She'll just go
mhm.
to the bedroom and scratch at the door. She wants to go to bed. She's completely comfortable around everybody. There's
But
I don't
even
know
when
what
you,
you're talking about as far as
yes,
what
well,
what they would be describing as anxiety.
well, and that's just it, because when you say that and you're talking about a dog having anxiety, most times it's being left alone. These dogs are not destructive when they're left alone. They go and
No,
sleep
she's
on the couch. They guard the house when you're gone.
Yeah, she's only 7 months old and not in. She doesn't stay in the kennel at all ever. She's free
No,
roam with Rip, her and Rip, free in the house.
yeah, they when they were at my house, they started we have doggy doors. You know this. I have one on my bedroom, one on my living room. Those dogs would sleep in my bedroom and play in the living room. They went to bed. 6 weeks old, they were going outside to use the bathroom. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I had never had a puppy climb out my doggy door to go use the bathroom.
She been here what 3 weeks now, and
Hmm.
not a single accident. I believe she has improved the other dogs.
They won't tolerate it. They're
Yeah,
like, that's disgusting.
yes,
Um,
not a single accident.
yeah, they're very clean. They're very it's weird. They don't like to get their feet muddy. If you've ever watched, they don't want to step in mud puddles. They don't, the Frenchies will run through the mud. The Chongqing's gonna avoid it.
Oh,
Um,
the Frenchies are horrible. They when it rains here on this red clay, like
yes.
they all want to be rojos. They all want to
Yeah.
be rojos.
Yep, exactly. No, the Chongqings are not like that. Um, if it's raining out, they run outside, go to the bathroom, come right back in. They're absolutely disgusted with my Frenchies that, want to go on my back porch. You can tell. I mean, they're curling their noses up at them. Because the Frenchies won't go out in the rain. And then I have to power wash that porch. But they talk about like you will see them in you haven't taken her to a dog show yet, but when you do, um, or you see the adults like Pepper or Corona, her dad, at the dog shows. Um, if I walk off from Pepper or if Kim walks off from Corona, the dogs will shake. Their tail is up and they will shake. And everybody's like, well, are they scared? Are they upset? No, they want to know where their person is and they want to make sure that their person is safe.
Maybe
And
that's the anxiety they talk about then, huh?
yes. And it's not really anxiety. It's just they're so tense because they're on alert. And it's just their body stiffens and it tightens and it vibrates. It's like a quiver. And it's just because they stop blinking. If you've ever watched, they are known to go 15 minutes without blinking because they have no eyelashes. They're the only dog in the world that can do that. And it's literally because they will not take their eyes off their person. Once they warm up to you and they accept you, Um, and it doesn't matter if it's like people that come in my house, I tell everybody, ignore the dog. Just ignore them. Act like they're not there. And once they realize that they are fine, you saw it, they are going to come up, they're going to sit by you, they're going to perch above you on my couch. They like to be in the highest place because they want the best vantage point. Um, they will try and intimidate people if they can. Um, and their look can be intimidating. What you just have to understand, as long as you ignore them, they are not aggressive. They are literally just trying to make sure that the owner of the home or the person that they're with and bound to um, is okay with the situation and okay with the person. Once you are accepted into that home, I don't care if it's 6 months later and you come back to my home, that dog remembers you.
I
And
believe it. I think
we don't go through that whole thing again. I've seen it. Um,
sometimes you can just look at a dog and just see that there's something working back there. Cause and it's the other way too. Cause speaking of Frenchies, I got a couple that I can look into their eyes and I know it is just a BB in a tin can behind their eyes. And
exactly.
I don't. She's different. She's different. I'm more than happy that you turned us onto that breed. And
Yeah, they're very special because they are so rare. People will see them and think they're a mixed breed. A lot of times I get that. Um,
well, you told me they're it's a Chinese bulldog, but like it's more of a hound, or
yes,
it's in a class of a hound.
they are in the hound group, but it's funny because a lot of vets will put them in the mastiff group for some reason. They're not.
Well, it's because it's
Um,
only 50 of them, so there ain't but just a few vets has even messed with them, right?
it that's even seen them.
Yeah.
And but apparently whatever software is out there that has the dog listed in it, um, has them in the wrong category, but they are considered a hound. But they are a dual purpose breed. They are a hunting breed, but they are also a guardian protection breed.
Hey, Erin tried to look it up in their computer, because she works at the vet's office,
Um,
and it's not in there.
it's not in there.
It's not in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. My vet has a new system and they were actually in there and she was shocked. She was
You
like,
well, you mentioned like the count so low with it being around 50, and I know we had talked previously about getting the AKC to recognize the breed or in their registry to add them to the registry. You you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing to make that happen and what needs to happen?
what we're trying to do right now is form. There was the woman that started the Chongqing project. Um, she had right after she had established a group. Every dog breed that is part of the AKC has a parent club. So the French Bulldog Club of America, the Bulldog Club of America, which is the English Bulldog Club of America, you have the German Shepherd Club of America. Every breed has a club. She had initially started the club and had some health issues, and it never went anywhere. What we're trying to do now is to get a group of people together, reestablish the club. Um, I've spoken to AKC on multiple occasions about this. They are very much for it because they have been established in the UK and they are on their registry now. So as soon as we get the club established and get the 100 dogs, I guess, um, registered within the club, they will add them to their miscellaneous category.
So,
And once they're in the miscellaneous category, then it's just a matter of time and showing them enough that they are added to the registry. So,
well, You can count me in. Whatever I need to do to help, you just tell me.
Yes.
We'll
We're
make
putting
sure.
on the board
Okay.
because
All right. As long as I don't have to make any decisions.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, it's they only come in two colors. It's very easy. It's very traditional. They are black and tan or the mahogany. Um, they have a thick coat or a thin coat, depending on the region. The one with the thicker coat is called Chongdong. And they are the more they have a little bit of a longer nose um, than the actual traditional Chongqing. And but this is a dog that when we had the genetic test run, um, Kim originally sent it to Animal Genetics, and they said we don't know how to do this because it's listed as an ancient breed. There's I think there's 11 ancient breeds left, which means that they have not been tampered with by man. We have not changed the breed. Um, so they said it's an ancient breed. Well, what that means is it was survival of the fittest. So the strong survived. So when you run genetic tests on these dogs, they come back completely clear of any genetic anything. We've run the test with animal genetics. I've run it now with UC Davis and with Embark. We found nothing in
so
them.
so there's no known health issues with this breed. Well, what's
No.
the life expectancy then?
They can be 16 to 20 years.
That's a pretty good run for a dog. It's a real
Yeah.
good run for a dog.
There is actually a gentleman on TikTok and he has one and she is like 18 or 19 years old. And I think it's Imperial Chongqing. I'm fascinated by that dog. She has no hair. Okay. And she's gray. She has turned gray all over. She does have hair, but it's all gray. So it's just and it's very thin, which is typical of the breed. And she runs around like a puppy. And I'm like, it's crazy. Uh he's like, no, she doesn't have anything wrong with it. She doesn't nothing. Um
That-
and to me it's just crazy. So
Well,
um but that's I mean that's one of the great advantages to them. They're a long living dog. I think most of the studies say 15 to 16 years, but you see a lot of them living a lot longer. The breeders that I've talked to have all said that they live longer than that. I think Google has kind of just thrown whatever they can find about the breed.
it's kind
Um,
it's kind of like what is that? The what is the information where it's just people adding it to it's wiki or
yeah, yeah, it,
Wikipedia. There you go.
yeah,
There you go.
Wikipedia. Yeah, and I
That
think
shows you
that's
how much
great.
time I spend there.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much what has happened with this breed is, and it also turns a lot of people off to the breed until they actually see them, meet them in person, and get their hands on them.
Well,
So,
speaking of that, getting their hands on them, like if you were somebody listening to this and you think, man, that sounds like the breed for me, and I wanna help this movement. Like, where would they even start to look for one of these dogs, and what kind of price range would they expect?
um, price range varies. Um, normally the dogs will start around 3,000. They go upwards of um, 6,500 normally. That's where it is now. Uh, when the dog first was introduced here, it was much, much higher, but the economy was different then. Um,
Yeah, I think
and
everybody that breeds
so
bulldogs
it
experienced
has,
that.
but anyone can contact me. They can contact Kim Bledsoe. Both of us are on all forms of social media. It's White Star Bulldogs, Anarchy Bulldogs, or Get Fluffed. Um, and we're happy to help you find one. We are very selective of where they go, any of ours. Um, I turned down a lot of people with these dogs because I just wasn't comfortable, which probably was not to my benefit financially, but I felt comfortable. It was that she was my first litter. And two of the dogs went to Canada. They were the first dogs to be there. And they were placed in two breeders that are going to be showing them. Another dog has gone on to be, she is she's gone on to security training and she works at the oil fields. Um, and then I have the male from the litter. You have a female from the litter.
I do.
And so, and then Kim has a female from the litter.
So
And so,
if there's so little, how do you get around that small gene pool to grow it? Like it,
there are, okay, so Kim imported a dog from China a few years ago. His name is Shogun. And then she has Corona. And we work with a couple of breeders in the UK, one in Ukraine and one in Russia that have sent a couple dogs over here. So there are most of the dogs that have been imported have been males, surprisingly. And so there are a couple other lines.
well, that's helpful.
You do have to be cautious because you are going off the Chinese paperwork, so it's FCI paperwork when you are looking for another dog or looking for a female or a stud. So
Yeah, that was been a conversation here at the house that if there ain't but 50 of them here, they got to be related.
yeah, the ones that are here, surprisingly, um, there is one from Chongqing, China that we know of. Then there's one from Southeast China. Those two dogs are not related. There is a dog from the bamboo line. That is the line that is from the UK. And then there is a dog from the Russian line in the United States. And those are all the males. So
Well,
yeah.
so are stud fees pretty high, or everybody willing to work with everybody? Because it's if you have a stud in a breeding program, I would think that at some point you're gonna need you if you were to stud if somebody was to charge you a lot of money, you're gonna have your chance for some get back, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. We all try to be fair with each other, but
Well,
it is a couple of $1,000s.
that's oh, I mean that's pretty.
That's
That's
pretty
a
reasonable in the dogs
yeah.
that we're in. Yeah.
When you consider rarity, yeah, that's probably
Well, and the other thing is, um, most of the breeders are that I have spoken to in the US, we all have the same kind of perspective. We don't want these dogs just put out there. Um, we want to make sure that they stay healthy, they stay within their look. Everybody knows I breed exotic Frenchies, I breed exotic bullies, I bred exotic English. The Chongqings, because there are so few of them in the world and they are such a special breed, they are not, I don't want them changed
right.
because they are such, I mean, I'm not going to breed one to produce a blue Chongqing. There's not enough of them to do that kind of thing with.
Yeah.
The other breeds, I'm sorry that you can say whatever you want about standard and non-standard dogs. Um, you're never going to get rid of a red Frenchie. There's always going to be red fawns and blacks and brindles out there.
Oh, on that's completely a different subject. But I don't, me personally, I, I 100% don't understand the argument. Like there wasn't a single Frenchie loaded up on the ark. It's a man-made breed. It was a mutt from the beginning. It's a designer breed. It's going to be altered, just like fashion. Like, and
Exactly.
I don't mean to dehumanize it or anything like that because they're very lovable dogs. I'll never be without one. I didn't know what the breed was until I got one, but I promise you, I'll have them until I die because of their personality. But that argument that then, if there wasn't support for that version of the Frenchie, it wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
People wouldn't, we wouldn't breed it. It-
Exactly. And for everything that everybody says, um, we have made the Frenchies healthier, and that is statistically proven. Um, by introducing other breeds to them. The dog we're producing now, we are health testing our dogs. We are doing all the things to make them a healthier, long living, stronger breed.
And,
And
and when you compare
why
that,
can you blame?
I don't understand the argument of the exotic breeder or the putting them different colors to it and how that's worse than a standard breeder. Somehow standard breeders have this, I don't know, they get this pass, and I don't think it's very deserved because most of them that I know, those lines are so inbred. They are so, their trees don't fork. Like when they
Yes,
get one that has that championship look, that dude is never going to breed to a dog that ain't related to it. And and
exactly.
and it's going to have that produces all kinds of birth defects, reproductive problems, things like that in those lines. And
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 it also, what people don't realize is once you breed within so many generations, you're taking away bone. You're producing a smaller dog. You're producing worse head size. You can only line breed so much. Any bully breeder, because bullies are the most heavily line bred dog you will ever see, will tell you that you have to outcross every so many generations. You have to do that. And somewhere within the show community, they have lost that.
not
They
if
don't,
you ask them, they do everything right. And if you breed anything
well,
outside
and
of AKC
I can
standard, you're the
tell you
devil.
right, I can tell you right now, yes, it was, 30 years ago, but coming from that world, no, they did not.
No, I 100%
You know,
agree. I don't
I
see
mean,
the double standard there.
no,
Like there are unethical breeders, period. And that
yes,
should probably be the focus, not what color your dog is or
exactly,
how long its hair is.
exactly.
Yeah, so
Yep.
uh, if you got anything you want to wrap up with here, any
Oh,
things you're working on, you want to brag about you and your partners doing, before we let you have enjoy the rest of your night?
no, because I can't even think of what we're working on right now. I got a couple things coming down the pipeline.
Do you? Well,
Yeah,
I'd love to have you back on here when we talk about DNA because you're pretty well versed on that, and maybe in the future a conversation on these actual health panels that come out with these
yeah,
dogs. I think some of it's kind of bull, but I'd like to hear your take and expertise on it. So with that being
yeah,
said, I want to thank you for your time. As always, it's a
yes.
pleasure. I don't know if T Rod's still with us, but if you have anything you want to ask, now's the time, sir. I see him moving.
I don't. But yeah, I was just listening and I think she kind of covered everything that I would have.
Pretty thorough. Like that's why I keep her on speed dial in my phone. She's in my favorites.
The only thing I probably would have asked is
Well, now's your chance.
how different or how close would an English bulldog be to I guess they call them British bulldog?
British Bulldogs are more like the oldie style of Bulldogs, to be honest with you.
Would they be more original style?
Yeah, or more of an oldie type. They have the longer legs, the leaner build.
Yeah.
Um, they're more active. They're actually more of like a working breed.
Okay. Because for some reason, I like those better. I don't know why, but I just
Yeah.
remember, the
Yeah,
guy.
I mean I have tons of friends that have oldies and that's the British Bulldog.
Okay.
And a lot of people like them because they're a healthier version.
But nowadays, are they calling them English Bulldogs instead of British
No,
Bulldogs?
they still call them oldies and they have their own registry.
Okay, because I just hadn't seen any. I think the only person I really remember ever seeing one with is when I was a kid. There was a wrestler, and of course,
Yeah,
his
that's
name was
where
the
I
British
thought you was.
Bulldog. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I first seen
Well,
him and
it's
fell in
because
love with him.
they don't call them British Bulldogs here anymore. We call them oldies or Old English Bulldogs. But that is what a British Bulldog is.
Okay.
So, but you'll hear the term oldie. And you'll see them at the dog shows.
Well,
So,
before
our
you go,
dog
I
shows.
I have one question as far as the John King. I meant to ask this when you said showing them. Who shows what organization has a class outside of an all breed dog show that you could take it to and actually compete?
TCB, TCBR,
Okay.
BCA, and ICBR. They all have a class.
So what's the typical turnout on
4
average?
5,
So what you're
4 or 5.
saying is I got a shot. That's what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yes. You
We'll
have a
be there.
very good shot.
We'll be there. Like I said, that's
Yes.
our focus this year is making more
Yeah.
shows.
Hey, we had 3 of them at the jungle last year.
Oh, at the jungle, they'll have them.
Hmm.
Oh well, we'll have her there for sure then.
Yeah, we had her mom
Her
was there
recall is
last
not
year.
very good. I'm gonna just be honest with you. It's a hard headed dog. She's sweet, but when she's outside running in the yard, if she's not ready to come inside, you have to go get her. Her recall is not very good yet.
Yeah, and that's called somebody's not disciplining her.
Well, that would be Aaron. We're not blaming me for that. That
No,
is
okay, it's
Aaron.
Aaron's fault then. Yes,
It's
I blame. It's
100%
okay.
Aaron.
I blame Chris. He spoils them. He's mad today because she wouldn't bring him. She wouldn't bring him the ball back. I'm like, well, whose fault's that? You
Nah,
don't make her.
I agree. Like but it's only been 3 weeks, so
Yeah,
we got time. The
yeah,
jungle's not
time.
till March. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
so them boys will get on it. But all right, well, Miss Amy, I appreciate you time for your time, and I think we covered a lot of good information here,
Yeah.
and hopefully it wasn't as bad as what you anticipating.
No, it wasn't.
Okay,
I
well,
don't like these things.
I know you said you
So
was nervous about it, so I wouldn't. I just want to make sure that you was comfortable.
yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And anytime in the future, you're always welcome to come have a conversation.
All right, when I make something weird over here, you can see it.
Oh, we'll be on it. All right. Well,
Okay.
I thank you, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.